What is going on, everybody? Hope everybody is doing great is watching this. I will wait, as always, for a few people to get in here, and then we'll get started. Okay. So we'll give everybody a couple minutes to get in. As I wait, y'all feel free to ask any questions that y'all would like to. All right. We got a few minutes, like I said, before we get into this. All right. Also, for those of y'all who were on the call last night, we were talking about those of y'all who were on the call last night, had a nice little lively session, had Matt join us. All right. Talking about good adjusters copy, great adjusters still. All right. All right. We'll give us a few minutes. We'll get into it. All right. All right. So any questions that y'all have, we're going to go ahead and get answered. And then, like I said, we're going to go ahead and get into it. Had a long call last night, hour and 15 minutes. Tonight, we're going to go about an hour. For the last few weeks, we've been talking about file notes. Then we went into building materials. Tonight, what I want to talk to y'all about is something that I had a manager pull me to the side, and she told me that nobody knows this. All right, nobody's doing this properly on her deployments as far as her new adjusters. She calls them COVID adjusters. It's people who got into business during the pandemic and after the pandemic. Unfortunately, a lot of those people are missing a lot of skills that she thinks that, not she, but a lot of people think that insurance adjusters should have. And so one of those things is how we handle ALE, so that's additional living expenses, how we handle those types of claims, right? So tonight, that's something we're going to learn. Okay, we're going to learn how to handle additional living expenses. All right, so this is recorded. So y'all can watch this later, right? If there's anything I miss on this, I can always have another class. But for the most part, I do want to go ahead and go over additional living expenses, how we handle that as claims adjusters. It's not just, oh, you qualify for ALE. All right. ALE, additional living expenses, is a adjuster intensive coverage. All right. We're going to be handling that claim over and over again, right? Because how ALE works, so everybody knows, when an insured has a property that is not livable, we have to provide them a place that is livable. Okay. We also have to pay for their expenses while they are not living in their home, right? So that looks like hotel rooms, that can look like Airbnbs that we're paying for. And usually we're going to pay by the week. It's rare that we'll pay by the month. And what the insured has to do is they have to keep an invoice of everything. All right. So whether that's hotels, invoices, Airbnb invoices, food receipts, restaurant receipts, anything like that relating to food and housing, the insured keeps copies of that, and then we have a process that we use. All right. So we're going to get into that now as far as what ALE is. And then I'll let y'all ask some questions after that. So ALE is something that's near and dear to me because I handled ALE claims for a year. I was dealing with ALE all the time, all day, every day. So I got pretty good at it. And so what we want to do, excuse me, let's pull it up. Let's pull up ALE and what that looks like. Okay, HO3 sample policy. Okay, and we're going to go to additional living expenses. Control F. I'm going to pull up your additional living expenses. I know I'm not showing y'all just yet. I'm about to show y'all here in a second. Here we are. Let me show this on the screen real quick. Now, we're going to see this in our homeowners 3 policy, our HO3 policy. You can also see this in other types of home policies, but I'm going to show y'all where ALE is on our policy, right? A loss covered under Section 1 makes that part of the residence premises where you reside not fit to live in. We cover any necessary increase in living expenses incurred by you so that your household can maintain its normal standard of living. Payment will be for the shortest time required to repair or replace the damage, or if you permanently relocate, the shortest time required for your household to settle elsewhere. All right, y'all. So this is a short paragraph, but it has a lot of important things in it. So first, let's understand the policy. If the residence premises is not fit to live in. All right, so that's our first thing. Not fit to live in can mean several things, right? So it does not, but I'm gonna tell you what it doesn't mean. Just because somebody does not have power for a few days does not trigger additional living expenses, okay? It does not trigger additional living expenses. So an insurer is saying, hey, my power's out. Y'all need to be paying for another hotel. Y'all need to put me up somewhere. No, we don't. It doesn't cover that. What it covers is things like a tree fell through the house, right? A roof was blown off. A house got full of smoke. The house is full of mold. The house got flooded. Things like that create a situation where a house is not fit to live in. All right, the next sentence, we cover any necessary increase in living expenses. All right, that is a vague sentence, but that is the basis of what type of property we're going to put that insured in, what type of hotel we're going to put them in. If they live in a mansion, we're not going to put them in a Motel 6. We're going to put them in a nicer hotel or a nicer Airbnb to do what? To maintain their normal standard of living, not your normal standard of living, their normal standard of living. All right. If we look at a house and it's well furnished, well taken care of, $800,000, $1 million, $2 million, whatever, we need to put them in a nice place because that's their standard of living. If they got a 2-bedroom and the house costs $75,000 and they got a couch and a bed and not much else, you're not putting them in some crazy expensive place. Okay. On this sample policy, it doesn't show what additional living expenses cover, right? Usually it's 10% of coverage A. So let's say coverage A had $400,000. You're going to have ALE with a max of $40,000 as an example. Okay. Make sure y'all can see me. Y'all can see me perfect. All right. So ALE, we're going to be paying for their normal standard of living. Also, as it relates to their food receipts, if we know they have an expensive place and they go to Panera Bread for breakfast and they go to, a steakhouse for dinner or lunch, that more than likely seems like within the realm of possibilities for their normal standard of living. All right. If you see that if their houses look that nice, they have a lot of nice things in there, you shouldn't be paying for just exorbitant food costs. Okay. So you're going to explain it to your insured before you start making payments. Okay. Next thing about ALE is documentation, right? You have to upload all these emails with you and the insured explaining ALE, You need to be uploading. You have to upload every receipt you get from the insured. This is how you're going to be writing the checks. It's based on those receipts. And you're going to see why you're going to cover your ass by doing what? You got to upload all those checks into the claim file. All right. All the checks, all the math you do to get that number has to go in the claim file as well. All right. In the photos. All the receipts, hotel receipts, hotel invoices, Airbnb, whatever it is you're using. Okay. Payment will be for the shortest time required to repair or replace the damage, or if you permanently relocate, the shortest time required for your household to sell to elsewhere. You want to avoid putting an insured in a lease. All right. 3-month lease, 6-month lease, 12-month lease. You want to avoid doing that because we don't know how long it's going to take to get them from, having an unlivable place to having a livable place again. Right. So that's how that works. All right. But this is how that's what I'm looking for. This is how we interpret these things. All right. You also need to explain to your insured what their limits are and how much they're spending that's going to make them hit their limits. If you got an insured that's spending, let's say $800 a week in, living expenses, and they have $40,000 worth of ALE, that $800 goes into 40,000. How many times? Divided by 40,000. I already know the answer, but we're gonna do the math just to do it. We got 50 weeks right there, right? So you gotta explain to your insurer, hey, this is how much you got. This is how much you have on this one for right now. If you go up in price, you got less weeks. $800 is also pretty low, by the way, especially if you got a family. Let me spend a lot of money on food, especially if they're eating out or if they don't have a kitchen. Which brings me to my next point. Try to get these insurers in places that have kitchens. Okay. You got to be responsible for their ALE because you don't know how long repairs are going to take. So you don't want them burning through their ALE. Once they burn through their ALE, we don't have anything else we can give them. Right? So we got to stop that coverage. They're going to come out of pocket. So you don't want them spending $2,000 or $3,000 or $4,000 a week if they don't have the coverage for it long term. So you got to economize a bit. Get them the normal standard of living, but just understand, especially if you're in an area where a lot of houses got destroyed or damaged, you're going to be in a situation where, like, hey, it might be 6 months before they get into another place. Now what? Right? Something to think about. Okay. So keeping up with the invoices, get those uploaded ASAP. Also, you're going to be writing checks every week. Every time you get an invoice and receipt, you're going to be writing a check. You got to stay on top of those claims. All right. So let's say you got 5 ALE claims and you got 80 in the queue. Those people are depending on you to eat every week and to have a place of food in their stomach and a place over their head, a roof over their head. Right. So you can't just, all right, I'm going to sign you to ALE and all right, cool. No, you got to be very involved. All right. Anybody got questions about this? Questions about ALE? It's a really important one, y'all. This is a skill that we use as adjusters. All right. You're going to use this if you work in CAT. You're going to use this if you're doing fire claims. You're going to use this for like when people have these trees fall through their house, all kind of stuff. ALE is used quite often. And so you at least need to have an understanding of it. All right. Unfortunately, we don't have a claim environment. We can't do the claims right now, right? I can't give you practice claims, but this is something to work on. All right. I'll let y'all ask some questions. Y'all, does everybody already know ALE? Because y'all ain't asking no questions. If y'all don't ask questions, I assume y'all understand. All right. I know what managers are saying about new adjusters, and they're saying y'all don't know ALE at all. So I want to be sure that the people that's watching and that's I'm responsible for, I'll make sure y'all know ALE. I know most adjusters don't. Okay. Questions, y'all. Questions, comments, concerns. ALE. Do y'all all understand ALE? Can I keep going? Can I get a yes or a no? I see a bunch of y'all in here. Just write in the comment section. Yo, I understand, Steve. Now, the thing about ALE is that, again, like I told y'all, it's adjuster intensive because we can mess it up. Okay, we can mess it up by thanks, Angel. We can mess it up by being lazy. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Raz. When you're lazy, everybody, when you're not paying attention to your schedule of claims, like your claim queue, this is how you can really get in some hot water with ALE, because it's much easier to get a claim escalated because they're not in their home. Hey, Paul is supposed to be handling my claim, and he's not hitting me back. I sent my invoices in, but he hadn't paid me yet. Or he said I was doing ALE, but we're still in this house with all this smoke, and it's been a week. Y'all can get fired behind this stuff, okay? So you really have to be a stickler about these receipts and invoices, okay? Also, you need to, this is again where communication comes in at, and this is why we write our file notes. You're going to be writing file notes telling your insured all these things. Confirm with the insured that they have X amount of dollars in ALE. Confirm with insured that they'll be living at 123 Main Street for the week to week until repairs are made, until the house is made livable again, right? Here's the other thing about ALE, y'all. There's a lot of gray area, and this is where you gotta read policy. You gotta stay abreast of your carrier guideline, and you need to be talking to your manager, everybody. If you're gonna be in an ALE situation, advise your manager. Hey, Mr. Manager, hey, Miss Manager, I'm on ALE on claim numbers. These are my claim numbers right here that I got ALE on. This is what I'm doing with them, okay? Because what can happen, your insurer can come in and say, hey, I really had 10 extra receipts. You got to pay these too. You got to be able to fight back against that, and you're going to use what is policy to your file notes. Like, I don't care what's going on. Once it's time to do ALE, y'all, you got to really dial in, because, and again, and by explaining to my insured, this is what I mean. Mr. Insured, Miss Insured, I need every single receipt you get via photo emailed to me on Fridays at 6 p.m. If you can't do that by then, I'm not paying on that week. Okay? Y'all have to communicate properly with this, because the limited amount of money they have for ALE can run out quickly. Okay? I'm gonna give y'all some examples of some extenuating circumstances. Winter Haven, Florida. It was Fort Myers. Fort Myers got a real big hit. I worked 2 different hurricanes in Florida where the ALE, they had several houses that got blown away. And I might have had $150,000 in ALE. Or $200,000 in ALE. My insurance carrier allowed me to buy an RV, buy trailers. I bought campers for these insurers, but I stayed abreast of my carrier guidelines, right? I stayed abreast of my carrier guidelines. So because of that, I was able to get, what it is, I was able to help my insured out, right? If I didn't do that properly, if I didn't know what I was looking at, y'all, my insured would have been screwed. They'd have been staying in hotels and everything. Instead, they would get a camper or RV, put it on their property, and keep it moving. Now, with that being said, every carrier doesn't work that way. Every carrier has different guidelines, and some of those guidelines are changing by the day, specifically with ALE. Okay. All right. Does everybody have an understanding about this? You know that this is an adjuster intensive coverage. Once you see the ALE is going to be on that claim, understand you're going to be babysitting that claim a whole lot more. You're going to be doing a whole lot more for that adjuster. For that insured. Okay. It's super simple, but a lot of people make this mistake. You got to dot all your I's, everybody. You cross all your T's. If you can do this day in and day out, or week in and week out, rather, you're going to handle ALE claims well. There's plenty of deployments where all you're going to do is you'll be on an ALE team if you show that you're good, and that's all you'll do. Like I told you, I did ALE and contents for a year straight. All I did is contents and ALE, putting people in houses, and I was just making content lists. I had a bunch of calls in the beginning, but after that, my call volume went down, and it was just paying out, which brings me to my next point. I haven't explained this before. I haven't gone into this in depth, but you want to be on top of your authority, okay? What does authority mean? That means how much money you can write a check for without asking for management approval. For some carriers, that dollar amount is $3,000 for new adjusters. Some is $5,000, some is $8,000, right? But and some have limits per day. It all just depends on the carrier. But with ALE, you want to be asking for approval on those invoices ASAP. If you know you're going to spend $1,000 a week between food and rental, if you pay on Fridays, you need to be asking for your authority on Wednesday or Thursday for that Friday morning check. Because if you can't get authority approved for whatever reason, manager's busy or whatever, that check ain't going out. So you can make yourself look bad to the insured. They're expecting to get, grocery money, or they're expecting to pay a hotel, and they can't because, hey, you sent in the ALE request, authority for it at 5 p.m. on Friday, knowing that y'all get off at 6. Your manager's already out of there, so now they can't even approve it till, let's say, Saturday. Check don't go out till Monday. Now what? Now the insurer getting the check late. They can't. Some of these people can't afford to, be going out to eat all the time and paying for hotels and stuff out of pocket. Some people don't have money like that, right? And so it's up to you to stay on the ball. Okay. Thank you. It's not that early where I'm at. I gotta drink some coffee. Gotta wake up, y'all. Okay. ALE is a way for you to stick out as an adjuster. You do this well, that's how you get on supplement teams. This is how you get on contents teams. This is how you get off phones and out of the queue. If you can show yourself that, you can show other people that you do something good, all right? This is the easy one. I'm just writing checks, reviewing invoices, reviewing checks, reviewing receipts, making sure everything looks good, making sure it adds up with your ALE limits, and paying the checks on time. Pretty fast process, pretty straightforward. But a lot of people don't know it. A lot of people do not know ALE, y'all. They are fumbling it. And it's up to y'all to go in there and take these people's jobs. Y'all new people, go take their jobs. Go take them jobs that y'all want so bad. This is how you do it. Learn ALE. Learn file notes. We already learned file notes, right? Learn how to write good file notes. And we're going to apply it to something like ALE. Okay? For those of y'all who were not on the call yesterday, we were talking about good adjusters copy, great adjusters steal. This is one of those examples. Steal this and put it in your repertoire. Now, next thing about ALE. Next thing about ALE. Oh man, I just had some sound. Next thing about ALE is how we keep track of everything. So one thing I've used over the years has been Microsoft Excel. I use Excel every single time I did ALE to keep up with, keep track of payments, keep track of hotels, the amount of nights they stayed in each hotel, and the amount of nights they stayed in each Airbnb, check numbers, all those things. I put all that in Excel. I had a claim number as the file number, in my Excel sheet, and I just made my Excel sheet. All right, this is the check number. When was this? And then also, y'all gotta pay attention to checks, because if the check hasn't been cashed, or or if you get lost or anything like that, we gotta reissue a check. Like, you have to. Doesn't seem like it's that many moving parts, but it is a lot of moving parts in ALE. So you don't want to just set it and forget it. Okay, it's not like other parts of the claim where you can just kind of on autopilot once you do it one time. You got to sit down and damn near touch it every day. Okay, if you got 10, 15 ALE claims, you're gonna be in for a lot of work, right? When I was doing contents in ALE, you know how many claims they gave me? For reference, on the CAT side of things, it's nothing. It's very regular to have 100 claims in the queue for you. On the ALE side, content side, I was having 50. They gave me 50 claims for 3 months between contents and ALE. Much smaller claim load, but it's much more intensive. For those of y'all just now joining me, we're talking about ALE, additional living expenses. Okay, you're gonna see it right here in your under coverage D loss of use. You're gonna go under additional living expenses. Additional living expenses are triggered when a home is not fit to live in. I'm gonna say auto. Lights going out does not qualify as a home not being fit to live in. Even if a home is cold and the lights are out, say they're in the north or something like that where there's snow at, it does not count as not fit to live in. When there's not a roof there, when there's a bunch of holes in the home, like all the windows are burst out, water can get into the home, things like that, that's when a home is deemed unlivable. Trees fall through the roof, things like that. Debris, tears the roof up. Got a lot of leaking, a lot of water, a lot of mold, a lot of smoke. Large amount of vandalism inside the home. All these things fall under ALE. But the thing is, it's also up to you. Okay, it's about what you can justify in your file notes. Again, we did file notes for 3 weeks, so I assume all of you all can write a good file note. Okay, so you want to be writing good file notes about these every single time you touch it, because it's going to take everything much further for you. So make everything much easier. One of the worst things that can happen when you're handling ALE is getting disorganized, writing claims and just writing file notes just all over the place. Makes everything much more confusing, because you might have a 10-week stay. What if you got a 10-week stay where you having to deal with file notes about ALE for 10 weeks, 12 weeks, 6 months? It's possible when it happens. So all your claim notes have to be on point. Okay? Every single time. All right. So that's that. Anybody that's on here that is joining, got any questions? Paul, you got any questions? Angel? That's just straightforward. It's not going to be a super long class as far as the teaching is concerned. That is the long and short of ALE. Okay. As long as you stay on top of it, you know how much money is available. Make sure your authority is approved week in and week out. You get your invoices and get them uploaded into the claim properly every single time. And you get that check sent out with time to spare, so you can get there in 3 to 5 business days. So these insurers can have that money to pay their landlords or the Airbnb, the hotel, whoever they're paying. And make sure the work is being done in a timely fashion, right? Because ALE is not infinite. It will run out. And when it runs out, your insurer got to start paying on the other one, because you can't pay no more. Notating your claim is super important on this, like we talked about. Notating your claim is always important, but it's really important on these types of claims. Okay. Questions, comments, concerns. I've been talking about 30 minutes now. Questions, comments, concerns about ALE. I will let you all, give y'all the time to be able to answer this. Okay. Y'all, I know it's not sexy. Okay. Everything about insurance adjusting ain't sexy, but it's the skill. All right. Skills pay the bills. It ain't all about getting hired. All right. Every time I go into the depths of skills that we have, I see people fall off. And everybody's like, yo, I want to get hired. I want to get the next job. I had a conversation with the student 3 days ago. He called me. He's been trying to get a job recently. He's like, man, I want to be where the money at. I got to go commercial. You know, I got to be doing property claims, man. I'm doing auto, but auto, I'm only making this much money, and it's not a lot. I need to be making a lot of money. And I asked him, he said, man, I need to do commercial claims. I had an interview with a commercial claims deployment, but it just didn't work out. And I told him, I said, do you know how to negotiate with a lawyer? He said, no. I said, do you know how to negotiate with a public adjuster? He said, no. I said, do you know how to handle a claim where a $5 million building was damaged? He said, no. I said, well, do you know that there's at least two types of sheetrock? And how much does sheetrock normally cost for a sheet of sheetrock, an 8x4 sheet of sheetrock? How much does it cost? And do you know about moisture resistant sheetrock? He said no to all the things I asked. And I said, well, if you don't know those things, why do you think that you're eligible to handle these big claims and make all this money? And he was like, man, I never thought about it like that. All right. So I would say the same thing to everybody that's watching now. Is like, all right, look, if we want the big jobs, we want the big paydays, we want to be getting hired quickly all the time, it's because we're skilled, okay? And we know what we're doing. We're going to get those skills right now, okay? We're getting those skills day in, day out, right now, doing what we're doing. I appreciate everybody for hopping in here like y'all been doing, okay? Always, let me put my invite in here as well. I don't put my invite in here enough, but if anybody wants to talk, feel free to hop in here, okay? Anybody want to come in here and talk with me? Anybody got any questions about anything or comments? Y'all understand everything? That's great. But let me know. I don't like talking like I don't like just talking to my camera. I like interacting with y'all, okay? I like learning more about you all and watching y'all succeed, but I gotta talk so I can do that. Yeah, you gotta crawl before you walk. Yo, like, it's not even about crawling, right? It's about being humble enough to say, hey, I'm willing to learn. And if I'm willing to learn, I know that's gonna take me where I'm trying to go, right? Like we had, Matt was on the call yesterday. Matt is dedicated to learning. He's been in the business 3 years and he's still learning. Okay. I had an adjuster today. He got fired based on a stupid mistake. You know, it's something that I don't even say my rookies do these mistakes. This is a mistake that like nobody should make as an adjuster. And he got released. You know, it was all because of him. It was all his fault. You know, he made an error in judgment, and it cost him, right? So if we can see people 3 years in the business making mistakes, if we can see people 3 years in the business that are still lining up to study and train and get better, if you're brand new, you got to be doing the same things. That's what the best adjusters are doing. The best adjusters are learning day in, day out. Okay? If you aren't learning, you're regressing in some way or another. Okay? I'm trying to give y'all some time to talk. Okay? Trying to give y'all some space and everything because I want to make sure it's not just me talking. It's not a monologue. And I'm also tired. Yeah, I'll be beat up, y'all. I ain't gonna lie. I did like I worked out earlier today, and I've had some long calls, so like sometimes I'll be like beat up. All right, so I think you touched on this before, but I can't remember. Does your superior on your team keep you in the loop as far as your stats go? Yes, this is a big cause for contention. As a matter of fact, uh, your manager is going to let you know where everybody stands. Like, so it depends on the management style, but some managers will let you know every single day. Thanks, Angel. Thank you, appreciate it. Yeah, like some will let you know like every single day. Yo, Angel's at 9. Jessica's at 10. Steven's at 14, and we got James at 17. And there'll be your metrics on certain things for the day. Then you have other superiors who don't really tell anything. They don't say much at all. And no, I don't like those personally because I like knowing where I stand. And you'll have some that they won't say anything to you. They won't even let you know nothing. You'll just be like kind of floating around. And then you don't know how to step up. If you need to step up, you won't know anything, and then this puts you in a bad position. So, and then like you'll get put in a position where like you'll get released out of nowhere, and you didn't know your numbers, right? So that's not something I like. I like to know my numbers at all times. Had to pick up this fan, y'all. It's hot. We're talking to y'all, I'm sweating. Give me 1 second. But yeah, Raz, to answer your question, at the end of the day, yeah. Some do, some don't. Yeah. Some do. Some will tell you everything. Some won't. It just depends. It just depends on their management style. At the end of the day. But I like the managers that tell you everything all the time. It's so much easier to work with. Yeah, you need to know where you can improve, and then you also need to know like, yo, James over there is killing it. Let me go talk to James and find out what James is doing differently than me. But if we keep the numbers hidden, you never really know who's performing well, and so everybody kind of looking around like, oh snap, man, what are we gonna be doing? Like, I don't know. All right. Especially for newbies, but not just for everybody. We all need to know how well we're performing. Right? If we don't know, it's hard to like imagine like you're doing the best you can, right? And you're actually leading the whole team, but you don't know. So you're like, am I good enough? Let me try harder. All right. And in the same vein, let's say you're trying the best you're doing the best you can, and you're at the bottom. And your manager looking at you like, get a load at Steve over there. He don't know what he's doing. And you don't know it, and you think you're doing your best. So you're like, oh, I gave my best today. And then you get released in the first cut. It happens a lot, unfortunately. There's a lot of good people that get cut. Well-meaning people, they get cut in that the first couple weeks, 3 weeks of a deployment, because nobody ever told them their metrics, right? And also sometimes that's where you as a professional, because when we get paid, we are professionals. You as a professional have to say, hey, how am I doing? What are my numbers like? You got to go ask your manager. You have to actively go ask your manager these things. It's going to make everything so much easier. Okay? Yeah, that's how that works. But yeah, it's this is not about ALE. Y'all, for y'all just joining, we were talking about ALE earlier, but Mr. Walker, it's really important as an IA to constantly work on improving your skill set, even outside of deployments, because most carriers will only offer you, y'all, these carriers do not have the time or the resources to invest in IAs. They pay us a lot of money compared to their staff adjusters. So they're not trying to hear all that like I don't know stuff. They want you to get it done. All right. And they're not trying to hear anything else. That's why we do what we're doing tonight. If I want to teach y'all ALE, nobody's going to teach you ALE. Okay, and be real with you. The only reason I learned ALE because I was on a slower deployment and I had a national catastrophe manager. All right, I didn't have a claims manager. I had the guy over all of CAT for Canada, for all of Canada, and he taught me ALE the right way because I was in the office with him, sitting across from his desk. I could look on like this, and I'm looking at Lynn McDonald. That's his name, National Catastrophe Manager for the Allstate Canada, and I learned from him. All right, and so I'm teaching y'all what I learned from a really experienced adjuster. 30 years in the business, he's seen everything, and like I said, y'all, if y'all don't do this, you're gonna do ALE at some point. But I'd rather you know it now, have an understanding of it now, know the concept of it now, than get caught like a deer in headlights later. All right. Now, I was talking about something. I think I was talking about management and management styles. Like, y'all, communicate with your manager. All right. And it's not just, hey, am I getting fired? Hey, am I doing okay? Hey, teach me how to do this. Talk to your manager so you can know how they want you to handle claims. Every manager has a way they handle claims. And let's talk about what a manager does. All right. A firm manager, or IA manager for the most part, what they're doing is sometimes they have their own claims, sometimes they don't. It just depends. There's a big deployment with if it has tons of claims, your manager sometimes is going to have their own set of claims. But for the most part, your manager is there to help you handle your claims, right? And so they have their own style of handling claims. And so you want to talk to your manager to get an idea of how they like to handle claims. Okay? If you work more than one deployment, between different managers, you're going to have different management styles and different adjusting styles. So you want to get to know them and the styles that they like. How they like their file notes written, how they like their letters written, what they think about voicemails and emails and so on and so forth. Okay, because everybody's different. So what you did on your first deployment might not work on that second one because you got another manager with a different style. Okay. Questions, comments, or concerns, anybody? Again, I'm gonna leave this floor open. Mr. Walker, appreciate you. Appreciate you hopping in here always. Y'all, today I talked to an adjuster, 15 years as a staff adjuster. She got in when she was in her early 20s. She's in her mid 30s now. 15 years in, and you know what she said? She said, Steven, I regret being a staff adjuster this long because I only have topped out at $66,000 on the auto side. She said she knows everything about auto total loss. She's doing this 15 years. She only has one license. And she is begging me right now, like, yo, teach me how to be an independent adjuster. I'm tired of not making what I need to make on the staff side of things. Okay. Now, granted, she's auto. She's not property. Auto is going to make less always compared to property. But, she feels like she burned 15 years when she could have been doing this on the IA side of things and making a lot more money. Right? So, auto total loss. Hey, man, auto total loss. That was my bread and butter, man. When I got into business, it was hard for me in the beginning, but once I got it going, man, I like auto total loss. Auto total loss is it was a challenge. It was a challenge for me in the beginning, for sure. Okay. Y'all that are just joining, we were talking about ALE, guys. I talked about ALE for 30 minutes. It's pretty cut and dry. I went through the whole process. If you want to watch this on replay, watch the first 35 minutes. That's mainly what I talked about. I appreciate everybody that's hopping on here right now. We got a live last night. We got a live today. I had a live earlier today as well on Instagram. So I'm trying to do a lot more of these for you all, be live more often, because as much as we all like getting hired and making a bunch of money, when things are slower, we can pick up a lot of skills. Okay. The good thing about slow season is there's a fast season that follows it. There's a busy season that always follows a slow season. Okay. That's just how it works. Summer comes before fall. Fall comes before winter. Winter comes before spring. It's just a cycle of life. Okay. So something I'll think about. Okay. Questions, comments, concerns? Anything? Going once, going twice? Just playing. But this is a pretty straightforward class today, y'all. This was not like file notes. This was not like some of the things we've had in the past where I had to go over and over and over again about stuff. ALE is straightforward, everybody. ALE is super straightforward. Once you get it right, you get it down, you keep going with that. Okay. I'll give y'all a few more minutes on this, and then I'm gonna shut it down for the night. I just know I wanted to get ALE out of the way because I haven't taught ALE, but the reason I've been teaching ALE, I wanted to teach ALE tonight is because a lot of new adjusters just don't have any idea about it. And I don't want any of y'all looking stupid out here not knowing that ALE requires a whole other process on the handling of those types of claims. Okay. It's my main goal for all of you all is to make sure somebody taught y'all ALE and that somebody was me. And now that you got it, y'all can always click this link, review it, go through it. Additional living expenses is what I'm referencing in regards to ALE. Okay. So you can go to your policy, read it. It's got some gray area there, which gives you some leniency, but we also have a lot we got to follow behind that. Invoice is super important. Receipt is super important, right? What else is important? File notes, cover your ass. You got to document this properly. You got to explain to your insured their ALE limits. You cannot go above those limits, no matter what. Okay? You need to let your manager know you are handling an ALE claim. Okay? You need to let them know so you can know what kind of leniency you have with that. Some managers are much more lenient than other managers when it comes to ALE. You must write good file notes on every payment that you write out. For every check you write and send, it better be some damn good documentation. Because if supplements were to come into play, you know, you got adjusters that are going to be looking to see if you've made all your payments correctly. You must write these numbers correctly, y'all. A little bad, you know, just messing up a few numbers here and there can make the accounting go off, right? And make in your file notes. All right, on week 1, I spent $354.13. All right, week 3, I spent $324.14. Week 5, I spent $653.13. If that doesn't line up with what you write on the check, y'all got a problem. Okay? You're gonna have a problem. So make sure your numbers are correct. Make sure your numbers in your file note match up with what's on that check. Okay? Okay, that's all I got. Okay, it's a straightforward class. Y'all understand this now. Now all of you all know how to handle claims that involve additional living expenses. Y'all have a lot of questions about this. This will take you far along. Just this ALE class. All right, it's not like file notes. Well, we got to keep reiterating everything. But file notes, because we delved into it deeply, does play a big role in ALE. That's it, y'all. All I got. If you missed a part of this, watch it on replay. Okay? Watch it on replay, y'all. I appreciate everybody. Y'all have a good night, a good evening. If you got questions, hit me up. If you got my number, text me, call me. If not, shoot me an email. Hit me up on any of these social media platforms, all right? Guys, that's it. Y'all have a good night. Watch the replay for ALE. You got questions, hit me up. And I'll put a bunch of stuff in the link in the description below once this live ends. Y'all, good night. I'll talk to y'all soon.